In this week's Torah portion, Parshas Sisa, we have one of the most devastating episodes in Jewish history, and this is the sin of the golden calf. Now, in a fascinating exchange between Moshe and Hashem, initially when Hashem proposes to destroy the entire people because of the sin just committed with the worshipping of the golden calf, Moshe successfully prays and says to Hashem, remember the promise that you made to the forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yisrael, and that their children will exist in the everlasting future because you promised to them that they would be your people. And the Torah records Hashem changed his mind from destroying the people. But nonetheless, later in the story, after various things are carried out with the destruction of the calf and certain people being given various punishments for their participation in the golden calf, Moshe turns to the Jewish people and says, listen, people, and this was really the next day, he says, listen, now I'm going to go up and beg Hashem for your forgiveness. Maybe I can achieve atonement on your behalf. Then Moshe goes up and he says to Hashem, now Hashem, please forgive these people, and if not, erase me from the book that you have written, meaning cancel me out of your Torah. And the obvious question is that Hashem had already decided not to destroy the Jewish people when Moshe initially prayed to remember the promise to the forefathers and to their children in the everlasting future. So why is it necessary for Moshe to kind of threaten Hashem and say, listen, if you don't forgive these people, erase me from your book, cancel me out? Why is Moshe Rabbeinu asking for forgiveness if Hashem had already decided not to forgive, Hashem had already decided to forgive the Jewish people? And I'd like to suggest, based on another stunning, almost insane question, seemingly insane question that we find in the Talmud, that is completely bewildering. One of the questions that the Talmud asks about Moshe is, where in the Torah do we find a hint, a remez, some sort of indicator about the existence of Moshe? And the Talmud actually gives an answer from a sentence in Genesis at the end of Parshas Bereshis that says that man is but flesh. And the context of that sentence is that when mankind had descended into depravity and become extremely immoral, Hashem is considering and then ultimately deciding to destroy mankind with a flood. And nonetheless, says Hashem, look, man is but flesh, he will live 120 years, which on the simple level means that there will be a flood in 120 years. Says the Talmud, hey, who else lived for 120 years? Moshe. And guess what? That phrase that says, B'shagam hu vasar, that man is but flesh, B'shagam is numerically equal to Moshe, 345. And therefore we see a hint to Moshe in the Torah. Now that's just bewildering because Moshe is mentioned almost countless times in the Torah. Why would the Talmud even think to ask such a, pardon me, ridiculous question? And I think what the Talmud is saying is as follows. If we look to understand the profundity of who Moshe is, where does the Torah tell us and give us the most keen insight into understanding who is Moshe? And therefore, the Talmud answers, you know what the most keen understanding of Moshe is? In knowing that Hashem himself declares, I know that man struggles because man is composed of flesh. I know that man is prone to mistakes and even depravity because they have, as part of their DNA, flesh and physical temptation and lust, etc. But nonetheless, I will give them an opportunity. I'll give them 120 years because in addition to man being composed of physical temptations and serious tests, man also has the ability to overcome those challenges because man also has a soul. And therefore man can transform himself and overcome his temptations to elevate himself and to become an incredibly lofty being. That is the essence of Moshe. And what Moshe is doing here at the Golden Calf is something incredible. Because it's true Hashem had forgiven the Jewish people, meaning those people that descend from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yisrael. But what about the other people, the converts, the Erev Rav, the large multitude of people that came from other nations to join the Jewish people in the Exodus and desert journey? What about those people? Do those people have an everlasting future or not? Says Moshe when he talks to the entire nation, listen, I'm going to go up the mountain. Because even though Hashem has already agreed not to destroy the descendants of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yisrael, what about the rest of the people? Moshe says, I cannot be part of a Torah that doesn't allow for the transformation of every single human being, no matter his lineage and no matter his activities, no matter his personal history and all the skeletons in the closet. That is who Moshe is. And of course, Moshe represents the Torah. Moshe is the one who allows and facilitates for the Torah to be taught to the Jewish people. Torah tziva lanu Moshe. So what does Moshe, says the Talmud? What's the most profound understanding? Moshe is the one who practically implements that every single person, no matter their background, no matter their lineage, no matter their activities, has an ability to transform themselves to becoming the highest level human being possible. And that has to be the ultimate message of the Torah and the Jewish people and what we bring to the world. What we are fighting for today is not only the existential survival of our nation, but for the idea that all human beings can transform. There's only one ingredient necessary, that they should decide to change. It's not enough to be theoretically a different person. The person has to want to seek wisdom and understanding, and then every person has the ability to transform. That's the guarantee of Moshe, and that's why it's Torah tziva lanu Moshe, and to that Hashem agrees.